What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another installment of Nico's What's in the Box. I'm your host, Nico, and I have another very exciting unboxing here for you today. But before we get into it, let me give you a little backstory about how I got my hands on these. So this past week, I was at work just chilling, starting off my day, drinking my Starbucks coffee, and then in comes in one of my co-workers, Lionel, and he looks at me and he says, "Yo, Nico, I need to know what size you are in sneakers, like right away." I looked at him all confused and I'm like, "I'm a size 9. And then he looks at me and then he starts interacting with his phone, looks at me again, looks at his phone, looks at me again, and then he has this like grin on his face from ear to ear. And I'm like, "What's up with Lionel?" And then he turns over his phone so I can see the display, and then sure enough, it was a surprise drop of the Kobe 5's Protros Bruce Lee editions that were supposed to drop actually this week. So I couldn't believe it. With the image, got him, and he got him for me. Beyond blown away right now. So again, thanks again, Lionel. Lionel knows how much I love Kobe. He's one of my favorite athletes of all time. He also knows how much I love the Kobe 5s, because out of all the Nike Kobe's that are out there, that is definitely my favorite one of all time as well. So Lionel, you're the real one for this one. Thank you again for hooking me up. And now you're giving me this chance to unbox it for everyone else. So here we go. So we're gonna go ahead and grab our trusty tool here, and again, always want to cut outward, make sure that we don't get hurt. There we go. The box is actually in pretty good shape. Doesn't look too beat up. It's a good sign that the product inside hopefully will be in good shape as well. If you've ever gotten anything shipped from Nike before, you pretty much already know that the box is literally going to just have the box inside of it. They don't put a lot of packing in there or stuffing, so hopefully the box makes it safe to you, and like whoever brought it, the courier didn't beat it up too much in the back of the truck. Lucky for me, Lionel got it to me, and I didn't have that issue, so the box looks pristine. So if you check out this box, and again, I don't know if you know this, but maybe I haven't mentioned it before, I'm a definitely box kind of keep kind of guy. I'm gonna go ahead and keep that shoe box as long as I can. There's just that something nostalgic about the box, and really it ties back to the story of the shoe as well. I love the storage solutions, don't get me wrong. I've been eyeballing them too as well. Like, I've been thinking about transition, but for right now, I'm just not there yet. So I'm still gonna be that person that keeps the box. So if we look at the box, right away, you can see the black on black finish, black Mamba. You have the Kobe Bryant logo in the middle of the box, and then the bottom of that, you have his signature. Right here, you also have a hit of the Nike logo as well. So nice to see that. And now it's the moment of truth, people. Let's go ahead and open this guy up. Very excited, very, very excited that we're gonna go ahead and do this together for the first time. Oh, got a little tape on there, so let's go ahead and get that out. And as you can see, the paper is like in super good shape. So what does that mean? That means that I'm literally the first person that's opened this box ever. So that is another great feeling as a sneaker collector. Anytime you buy any kind of sneaker from your local, sneaker store, there's always that chance that somebody else might have like interacted with the sneaker, or maybe even tried it on. So this is a good feeling that I'm actually going to be, the first one to actually check out my own sneakers and nobody else. So let's go ahead and bring actually both of them out. So right off the bat, black and yellow is the colorway of the Bruce Lee Kobe 5 Protros. Let's just talk about Bruce Lee for a moment. So why Bruce Lee? So Bruce Lee is someone that Kobe was super inspired. He has the same kind of style and mentality. They kind of both have a lot of style to the way that they play, or the way that Bruce Lee did his martial arts. And both of them are very iconic for what they did to keep their bodies in shape, and to make sure that mentally they were ready to go every single time they needed to be in front of a screen doing their art. And this is where Kobe found a lot of parallel to Bruce Lee, and where he got his inspiration from. So this is why we ended up with the Bruce Lee Kobe 5's Protros. Now, black and yellow. So why black and yellow? So if you don't know this movie, it's a classic. A lot of you might have not seen it. It's called The Game of Death. It actually premiered in 1972. By the way before Kill Bill. So, for those of you who just thought it was just for Kill Bill, slow down, Junior. Before there was a Kill Bill, there was definitely a Bruce Lee. So this is where Bruce Lee wore his iconic black and yellow jumpsuit, and he went through different challenges and different levels to get to, the main guy at the end of the movie that he was supposed to defeat. Which, by the way, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Chuck Norris are also in the movie too, just in case you guys wanted a little fun fact. The other reason too that you have these red 3 slashes on the side, or I'm sorry, four 3 slashes on the side. It's because, again, if you remember the movie, towards the end, I think it was like the last boss that Bruce Lee had to fight. This guy had like some mean claws, kind of like Wolverine, 4 of them, and he was slashing him up. So this is where this came from too. Don't worry, Bruce Lee won the fight and he defeated him. So there's a little bit of like a paying homage to the movie and to Bruce Lee as well. So those are kind of the reasons why the color and why Bruce Lee and why you're seeing this hit of the red. But now let's talk a little bit about the shoe and like the shoe technology and why this shoe is such a great shoe for a lot of basketball players. Because if you've seen the playoffs and the last round, the 2020 playoffs, or even the championship, the Kobe 5s were like the shoe that everybody was wearing. So it makes you wonder why. So here's the thing. First thing, the upper, right? The upper, you can tell it's lower than most traditional basketball shoes. Some traditional basketball shoes are kind of like mid, or even sometimes high, right? A lot of centers, a lot of forwards like that kind of like, support for their ankles. But when you're a guard or a shooting guard and you have a lot of fast movement like Kobe did, and you're trying to like fend off multiple defenders and you're trying to create plays out of nowhere, you need the movement that this shoe is going to give you. And a lot of that inspiration also came from soccer, because Kobe was a big soccer fan growing up in Italy. So he always kind of saw the cleats and kind of the shape of the uppers, and he saw the movement the soccer players were able to kind of get away with. Very much the same movement that an NBA player needs in terms of performing on the floor and being able to create plays and get away from multiple defenders. So this is why you have a little bit of a lower upper around the ankle area, but you do have some cushioning here to protect as well when they're moving back and forth so they don't roll their ankles. The other thing to kind of think about here, if you don't already know it and you're not familiar with the Zoom technology, so you have a flex Zoom technology that's been placed inside of the sole of the shoe. You don't see it, but it's in there, trust me. This is something that started back, I want to say like in 96, 97, I could be wrong on my year, but don't give me a bad comment on that one if I'm wrong. But I believe it started around in the mid 90s when they started implementing Zoom Air into different sneakers, and it started with the basketball sneakers. So you can see that the Zoom Air continues to be used even many years later after the fact too as well. Another thing to think about too is, what is the comparison between the original release of the 2010 Kobe 5 Protos Bruce Lee versus the today 2020 version. There isn't a lot of differences. I didn't own the 2010, never got the chance to own them, but I have seen them. I've had them in my hand. I've been to different sneaker cons and different resale shops, and I've been able to interact with them. And I can tell you there really isn't a lot of difference, at least nothing that right now is just jumping at me and screaming at me as I look at the shoe. A lot of times when you see these sneaker re-releases, there could be some subtle things that they've changed up just a little bit. We see that with like the Space Jams. I think if you think about the Space Jam release, that was one of those things that you were like, whoa, this is definitely not the same shoe that I remember. This one, not so much. It looks exactly the same. I mean, if I'm gonna point one thing out, if I'm really gonna think about this, it could be just this section right here. If you can see, it has just like a little bit of a shine kind of finish. I don't know if they used like the M3 finish on that, but I don't know if they used that in the original. I could be wrong, but that's the only thing that stands out. Everything else is pretty much the same. So again, these sneakers, amazing for performance. Also, if you just wanted to kind of wear them, just to wear them, like wear them with any one of your outfits and just kind of have them put together with something really cool for the day. I mean, that's all, that you need to do is just throw these on and you have an outfit. And then who cares so much about like what you're gonna wear with your outerwear or shorts or what have you. These are it, man. Like you have these kicks on and people are gonna definitely be taking that look down and just giving you the nod. You know how that goes if you're a sneaker owner. So that's the other thing that I really appreciate about these. They're sleek, they're low profile, you know what I mean? Like it's not super in your face. I know some people are like, well, what about the color? That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the color's kind of loud, but look at the style. Like the style's not like something that you're gonna say, wow, that's doing too much. This is actually doing just enough. They got this like spot on. This thing is just amazing when you look at it. Just the finish on that. You can see the heel too with the Kobe signature in the back also as well. In the bottom, just to kind of get a look there. So you have the sole with the red hit of the Kobe logo, and then just this area of impact. It's where you have the red. So when there's movement there for that basketball player, it's usually they're pushing off of that area to create the movement. That's why the red is there too as well. So all in all, I'm stoked. I'm super happy. Again, Lionel, you're looked out for me. I got my hands on the Kobe 5s, Protro Bruce Lee's. Definitely gonna wear these, not often at all. I'm definitely gonna, be making sure that I take care of them, and hopefully I'll have them for another 10 years, and then we'll see if another re-release happens. But in the meantime, this is your Kobe 5 Protro Bruce Lee's. Hopefully you liked the video, you enjoyed what we talked about here. Let me not forget price point. I almost blew it. Let's talk about that price point for a second. $180 retail out of the box. Resale right now for StockX, last time I checked, was $320, $350. I will say that that's actually not too bad either. If I would have not gotten these through Lionel, I would have definitely gotten them through some kind of resale channel, most likely StockX, and I would have paid easily $300 something, not a problem, because that's how much I value these shoes. That's how much I wanted to get them. So just another thing to think about, just in case you're not able to get them this week when they actually launch. Again, you have to go through these resellers, so just make sure that you pick the right one and you do your homework and you're comfortable with what you're gonna get. But at the end of the day, again, thank you again for stopping by, checking out the video. Again, hit subscribe, hit that like, leave me a comment. I definitely want to hear from you guys. I want to continue to do great videos for you and step up all the information as much as I can so you can feel good about any future investments. Once again, it's Nico, and I'll see you next time, and stay safe.